Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Cape Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our returning friend, Michael Katz. We're here to break down Riot Earp issue number 2 and everything in between. Michael, welcome back to the show. How have you been, man?
Great. Thanks for having me back. You used the word fantastic, but we won't know until after the interview's done.
So for anyone that is maybe watching for the first time, can you give us a little bit of a recap of who you are and what you've been up to within the indie comic community?
Yeah, it's not my day job. I wish it was. During the day, I'm an attorney. But in 2002, I started a publishing company with some other people. That was kind of my dream. And, I found some like-minded individuals. And my hope was that, one day it would become a full-time gig. And, we're still plugging away. It's, 20 years later. We're still going, which is, more than what most people can say.
Yeah.
But the trick is to, one day, catch lightning in a bottle. All you need is the one project, and you can hit the big time. And about 2 years ago, one of my business partners, who's also like my all-time best friend, I've known him for over 4 decades, was like, we're both comic aficionados, and he's like, why don't we do a comic book? And I'm like, yeah, but why? Because I can't afford it. And he's like, okay, well, I'll fund it. And he had a concept, and I said, okay, I can do something with that. And that's what helped form Riot Earp, which was the first comic book project that our little company has done.
That is so awesome. And we had you on for issue 1 and broke that down, and wow, it was gorgeous. I love the story so much. Can you give us a little bit about the creative team that's involved with it?
Yeah. The artist is from Brazil, a guy named Fred Benes, whose older brother Ed Benes has done work for the big two. Especially DC. Ed Benes has his own studio, and Fred works there. The colorist Fred Marine is part of the studio. There's a number of artists that work under the Ed Benes studio umbrella. The editor is Ron Mars. I'm sure most people know he's been in the field for over 30 years. Marvel, DC, all the companies, big and small. And he put me in touch with the letterer Dave Lamphere, who works for a company called A Larger World, and Dave has done work for all the big companies as well. It's a pretty tight team. I wanted to, it costs a little more than most first timers would expect to spend, but I wanted to make sure off the bat that we had all our ducks in a row. I wanted it to be as professional as possible.
Yeah, it without a doubt, like this was a heavy hitter out the gates. And you got a lot of big names on this book too. I'm curious, how were you able to get involved with all these different talents for this book?
Well, part of it is luck, but these days you don't need to have luck as much as you do social media. So let me back up and say maybe 7-8 years ago, I was approached by a comic book studio called Visionary Comics. Guy named Charles Chuck Selner, who now works with Outrider Publications, and they've been doing a lot of Kickstarter stuff too. They've been very successful. He came to me with an idea for doing a prose anthology, short stories, fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and we did that. And we had a nice working relationship. So he came to us with an idea for a comic book miniseries based on a role-playing game called Deadlands. And the Deadlands series, Ron Mars was the editor. He also wrote one of the stories. One story was drawn by Bart Sears. There was Jimmy Palmiotti did some work on it. It's a few names, and the project didn't go as well as we'd hoped. But when the time came to do Riot Earp, my partner said, "Why don't you reach out and see if Ron Mars would be interested in being the editor, because that way we know if it's good or if it's crap, because we're not going to keep going if it's crap, So I reached out to Ron, and he was all for it. And it's a little it costs a little extra, but it's worth it, because not only do I know that I'm getting the best possible story out there that I can, but the business is all about connections. It's all about who you know. So I've been able to meet other people through Ron. I met Keith Champagne through Ron. I'm working on this other superhero book, and Keith has done inks for that. It's a book called Golden Years, which I'm shopping around to publishers, and if that doesn't work, I don't want to wait too long, because I want it out there. So if I have to kickstart it, I will. But I've got other artists include Jack Herbert, who's worked for DC, Neto Diaz, who's got work coming up for Marvel Comics. He's going to be doing the Thunderbolts series starting later this year. And he told me he actually got that gig by showing the work that he did for me.
Wow, that is remarkable, dude. Holy crap.
And then the superhero book is about someone from the golden age who gets thrown through time into the present. So each issue has a number of pages that are flashbacks, and I have those being drawn by Kevin McGuire. And him, I met through Ron as well. And
I love that flashback idea too. That is such an awesome concept.
Thanks. Now, the way I got to Fred was just luck. I was looking on the internet for a bunch of artists, and it helped. I could say I got Ron Mars editing the book. I gave a little more credibility, I guess. But I found a couple people, and I'd actually asked about someone else at the Ed Bennett studio, and they weren't available. But the guy that runs the studio said, "How about this, Fred Bennett? Let me show you his work." And I looked at his stuff, and this is terrific. And we have a great rapport. I mean, I basically tell him, this is what I see in my head, and he draws it right the first time around. I don't have to make him change stuff, which is it's. I mean, you don't want to have to make an artist change stuff. But we're so simpatico that I don't need to say no, that's wrong, that's not nothing at all like what it's supposed to be. It's like first time around, he's done a great job.
No, it definitely seems like he was able to take your vision and give a really good interpretation of it. Like every panel is just like beautiful. It's I can't really give it enough justification, like just explaining it. Like the way the paneling is within the paneling is just remarkable, and it's always like just full gas. The entire issue is just so much action happening. And there's very, very like little room to breathe, and I love it because that's when you really start to pack in the story and the dialogue between the different characters. And I really do think that relationship you two have is just awesome. You guys are really killing it.
Yeah, the book started out as a monthly, and each issue would be, I wanted it to be at least 24 pages, even though the big two or 20 to 22 pages. I want to have at least 24. I want to have as much story as possible, and even that is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Being a new writer on the block, I didn't want people to have to wait 6 months for a complete story. I figured the best I could do is 2-parters. So I would have 24 pages and 24 pages together to tell a complete story. And for the Kickstarter, I'm combining them so you have double-sized complete stories to read. But even then, I wish I had more pages to work with, because you can never have, it's not easy being, crammed into a particular number of pages. So that's why you're going to see a lot more story, a lot more dialogue than most comics when you read my stuff.
So you mentioned 24. What's the significance of that number for you?
It's something I've just seen some companies go with 24 pages. And sometimes, you see a company do, 22 pages plus a letters column,
mm-hmm.
And the first page is the recap page. So that winds up being 24 pages anyway.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Or if you read, or if you count, 20 pages plus 4 pages of ads, which are usually house ads these days anyway. You don't see ads for Hostess cupcakes anymore.
So with Riot Earp issue 1, can you give us a little bit of a recap of the story so we can start kind of paving the way to issue 2?
Okay. It takes place in what I call the near future. It's 2055. It's got a little bit of science fiction to it, but it's not a science fiction book. I don't want people to have to think that they have to be sci-fi fans to get into it. I compare it to RoboCop. The movies where there's a little bit of sci-fi, but for the most part, life is just like it is today. The only difference is the backdrop is an America that is divided into 4 provinces.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the idea in 2020 during the presidential election, when I thought, it seems like this is the course that the country is going on, and it's quite possibly one day. I mean, look, Canada has multiple provinces.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't America? Maybe it's time for the great American experiment to end. So we have America with 2 provinces that are controlled by Democratic parties and 2 that are controlled by Republican parties. And each province has its own set of laws, and each province is different. And then I created a character who just finds his way in the middle of different adventures, so he can go to different states and different provinces and see what things are like, and show the reader what the world could be like if everybody gets what they want, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't necessarily a good thing, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. So he's a member of the California Highway Patrol, San Diego Division. So he's a cop, and he's a ladies' man. He's a smart mouth. I tell people the books Han Solo meets CNN.
Yeah,
he's kind
yeah.
of that rakish, roguish, individual.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, he's just a regular guy. He's not a superhero. I love the Jack Reacher novels and a TV show, but I didn't want to write a Jack Reacher story where the guy can do anything. I wanted a story where the guy has to overcome obstacles, more like, and this is, most people don't get this reference, but Will Eisner's The Spirit, from decades ago, was a superhero. He didn't have any powers. His power was he would get his ass kicked every story, but then come crawling back to grasp victory. And the only reason people might know the character is because there was a Frank Miller directed movie maybe 15 years ago that was really terrible. It was black and white. Co-star Samuel L. Jackson, Scarlett Johansson, a bunch of other people, but it's no reason to watch the movie, believe me.
Well, what's the movie?
The Spirit.
Oh, The Spirit. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Okay. Like you're describing the cast. I was like, that sounds familiar, but I have not seen The Spirit. I want to see it now, even though you told me not to see it. That makes me want to see it even more. Yeah. Now we see. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, when he co-directed Sin City with Robert Rodriguez, and then he thought he could direct himself, and he took a great property, a classic like The Spirit, and showed that he didn't do that good a job.
Hey, life's all about a learning experience, though. So one thing I noticed with our main protagonist is he has a pretty strong moral code. He doesn't like to kill. Instead, he likes to use rubber bullets. What was some of your influence for that? I thought that was a really unique kind of way to approach things being a law officer. Well,
that's not his decision. In the blue states, all law enforcement gets is non-lethal weapons, including rubber bullets. That's what he's given. That's what he's assigned. Whereas in a later story, for example, he takes a trip to Texas, and everybody there is carrying a handgun, whether they want to or not. It's like the Old West; you kind of have to. Because everybody else on the block is doing it, you kind of have to do it too.
No, I love the dynamics, and I really enjoyed how you tie in things too from his adventures in space. He was kicked out of the Space Force for sexual reasonings, and I like how you tie that in too. Like you make sure like to make that something, whether it's him like not being able to throw a punch full force because he's still adjusting to Earth's gravity. I thought like the science in reasoning within this book was like just so sound.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to be realistic, and technology doesn't adapt as fast as we think it does. When you read something like The Time Machine and the War of the Worlds from the 1920s, 1930s, stuff like that, you expect that by now we'd be living on different planets and everybody would be flying hover cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just not the way things go. So I wanted to, try and predict as well as possible what technology would be like in 2055. And when 2055 comes, we'll see if, how close I got.
Today's, what is it? George Judson. I think it's George, his birthday. So speaking of things in the future, I remember being a kid watching that cartoon and thinking like, that's what it's going to be like, in 20, 30 years. And we are so far from it. So let's get back on track with Riot Earp, issue number 1. You just had a successful Kickstarter. How did that end up going, for you? And what, success did you see within the marketing that you were running for it? What was some of your tips and tricks that helped you?
Well, it was successful. I did not break even, but I did not expect to. For the first Kickstarter, I think we did better than I had predicted. We had over 160 pledges, 160 backers.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The part of the problem is I keep the costs of the book very low. because I want people to, feel like they can afford it easily and give it a try. So the book, the printed version is $10 for, 60 plus pages, and the PDF is only $6. The first book went well. The second one is this one. I was hoping, and we'll see how it happens when it's all said and done. I was hoping we do better numbers, because the first time around you get a lot of friends and family, with big one-time donations, and you can't expect them to do it every time.
It'd be nice though, right?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that with 2 weeks left, we have close to 90 backers. I'm hoping that we can beat 160 again. And one of the things I tried, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, was I got the permission to use the likenesses of the two lead characters from the TV show Psych.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a huge fan. Well, it's still going. It's like 8 seasons, and then 3 movies, and there's more movies on the way. I'm a huge fan. My sister's a huge fan. My oldest son was, I used to watch it with them.
That's so cool. That is so awesome.
And I thought, it would bring something special to the table. Open it up to a new audience, people that might not be into comics or might not be into my comic, but would be fans of these characters and give it more of a shot. I don't know if it's going to be the case, but at least I know that people in social media are noticing the book. They're not necessarily buying, but at least I know they're noticing. That's the biggest thing I'm doing in terms of marketing is social media. Obviously, that's it's free. It's the easiest thing to do. Problem is, you're fighting the almighty algorithm all the time. You could post something on Twitter, and it might be of interest to everybody, but you're fighting with 100 other tweets in the span of an hour, and you're going to get knocked down the list. Same thing with the Facebook, Instagram. I'm posting on a daily basis. I try to post multiple things, and like, for example, I post on the Psych fan pages, or I tag the Psych fan pages, and they're like, oh yeah, this pictures of the guys look great, it looked terrific, and and people will say like little one-liners. Oh yeah, that's the guy that looks like the guy who was bugging me about Pluto, which is a line from one of the episodes, a couple of episodes actually. So I know I'm engaging, but and this is something that Keith Champagne said. I don't know if he said it on your show or just said it to me, where he noticed that his posts on Instagram were having an engagement rate of 6%, which is crazy. You're 6% of the people who follow you are seeing your posts, which it's insane, but that's what the algorithms do to you. And if you have a link in your post, you're even less likely to have people notice it, because Facebook and Twitter want to bury those links because they want you to pay them to broadcast your link themselves through a megaphone.
Yeah, or they don't want you to leave the site too. That's a big thing too, because they have ads on Twitter, and it's a new super annoying feature where if I'm trying to go onto your tweet and I'm trying to read through your comments, there's gonna be an ad right in the middle of the thread. It's so annoying Like
Right.
I hate that. And so that they bury links because of that. Like, because if you're leaving the site, you're leaving the ad space and they're not making money from it. It's, I mean, how do you work through that though? How do you, like, as a creator, you know, put something in your corner to work in your advantage?
Well, I have to give a shout out to Anthony Stokes. You know, Stokes the writer. He's great in terms of marketing knowledge. He's got plenty of ideas. Sometimes you just have to say, back my Kickstarter, and expect people to go, check you out, check out your pinned tweet or whatever. Keep your, keep the website address in your, I'm not sure what you'd call it, but like on Facebook,
Your bio?
Yeah, your bio. That's good. So keep it in your bio, and so on Facebook, say, hey, check out my bio, or go on to Kickstarter and search for Riot Earp, or just look in at my prior posts, or say, number one, please back my book. Here's a picture. Then comment on your own post with the link, and just hope people find it that way. But really, it's all about you can lead them to water, but the hard part is getting them to drink. So you have to make your packages, your pledge levels as good as possible, and that's been a work in progress. So I know there are people out there who like the idea of having themselves drawn into a comic. So I thought this time around I'm going to do that, and then I have 4 spots for characters, and it's not just where you see your face in one panel. These are going to be multiple panels with dialogue, so you're actually going to be part of the story. And I posted that as a pledge level, and then no hits. And I'm thinking maybe I charged too much for it, so I knocked it down from $200 to $100.
I don't think 200 is that bad of a price, honestly, for a character that's going to appear.
You would think so, but yeah, I just want to get the numbers up. That's the thing. You want as many people to back your book as possible. And if your friends aren't into comics, they don't need to buy the comic. If they can back it for $1, that's going to help you with the algorithm. If you can get one person a day to back your book, that's going to help you with the algorithm. Because I've seen this myself, where sometimes I'll look on Kickstarter at someone's project, that I'm interested in backing, and you scroll down and you see that there are other books. They usually have Kickstarter mentions, I think, like 4 other books you should be into.
Yeah. And
once I saw Riot Earp, and it was after or on a good day that we've been having.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I know it's possible. We can be in the top 4, of Kickstarter, mentioning stuff. We just have to get those numbers in the right way, so the algorithm, gives us the opportunity. And the algorithm is great. You always do your best your first day and your last day of the Kickstarter, but the hard part is everything else in the middle. And if you know people who were interested in backing, tell them don't wait till the last minute, because look, whether you pledge on day 1 or day 30, the money's only going to get collected, charged and collected on day 40, say.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what day you pledge. If you want something, pledge it on day 5, on day 15, on day 25. If 10 people, get them to pledge every other day and help that algorithm.
That's pretty smart. I've never really considered doing that, but that's pretty smart.
Yeah, and that way, you get noticed more by other people. And Kickstarter says, "Oh, hey, if you like this book, check out Riot Earp."
Mm-hmm. No, I really like that. I think that is a nice tactic. So speaking of checking out Riot Earp, let's go ahead, check out the Kickstarter for issue 2, go through it together and see exactly, what you're doing differently this time around. So we are looking at Riot Earp issue 1 and 2, 56 plus pages each, complete stories, the second in the sci-fi action comic book series, plus catch up with the first. So you had a goal of 2,000. You're currently at 2,314 with 94 backers and 10 days to go. Congratulations again on funding. That has to be such an awesome feeling. I know you said you weren't exactly where you thought you would be, but at the end of the day, you successfully funded. So congratulations on that once again,
Thanks. Man. Yeah, thank you.
So action, humor, sex, and politics merge into one futuristic take on law enforcement. It's Han Solo meets CNN.
And look at that first blurb there.
Yeah. I love that. I was getting ready to read it. So Katz's ability to blend early 80s action with a modern approach to the future is only amplified by the amazing pencils and inks of Fred Bennett's. Riot Earp is a well-balanced blend of action, sex, and much more. That was like one of my very first poll quotes too. I was proud of that. I remember having my girl read over that like 3 times. Like, does this sound good? Like, so once again, a bonus for fans of the hit TV series Psych. Stars Dual Hill and James Roddy Rodriguez agreed to lend the use of their likeness to this issue. So how'd you end up getting that? What strings did you have to pull to get that? That is so awesome, man.
Wasn't easy. Well, first my sister had met Dual Hill after he had been on, I think it was like a Broadway play. And fans of Psych know this thing with the pineapple. It's a recurring element of every episode. It's basically a game of spot the pineapple. Mm-hmm. So people apparently, they bring Dual Hill gifts all the time. She wanted to do something special, so she brought a squeaky pineapple for his dog. And he was really thrilled about it. He posted something on social media about it, and she posted to him, and then when the time came for the comic, she reached out to him through social media, and he was like, okay, great. So that was easy. James Rodriguez was difficult. I was posting on social media, does anybody know how to get to him? Can you help get to him? Eventually, I found someone who knew him, and I offered to donate money to his favorite charity, and I donated to Dual's favorite charity too.
The awesome move, though. That's an awesome move.
Because obviously, if I had to pay for the rights, I wasn't going to be able to afford it. But it's not like we're making the next bestseller. Although, knock on wood, if it becomes one.
I was gonna say don't count yourself out of the race yet. I mean, and I really liked how you included them in the story. Was it hard writing their personalities, or did you have enough like reference material with the TV show?
Oh no, I had enough reference material with the TV show. It's like, after 8 years, they're like old friends.
So when people read this issue, are they going to be able to feel their characters within it, or is it going to be something a little bit different?
If you are familiar with Psych, even though they're not playing the same characters, they have the same personalities.
Okay.
But if you're not familiar with Psych, it doesn't matter. You don't need to be to enjoy the book.
I had a chance to read it, and I was not familiar with Psych, and it really I thought the story was amazing without knowing much from Psych. So I definitely want to vouch for that.
Yeah, I have so many Easter eggs in the books that I often forget just what they all are. Everything from Earp's address is RoboCop's address from the movie.
Oh.
To the Steely Dan songs Josie and Peg I used for the names of the girls. and then one of the fellow officers is Dan Seeley as opposed to Steely Dan.
No, yeah.
All kinds of stuff that's in there.
Now that you're mentioning it, it's definitely starting to click all together. I love that. For anyone that is watching, right there is the link to check out the Kickstarter with us. Here is the story. We've, of course, gone over that, but let's take a look at some of the preview pages as well. So I love this I love the interactions with them. This was a really awesome panel too. I mean, it's a preview right here, but when you read it into the story and put it together, like I thought like how it blended into the story was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and come on, son, there is a line from that the guys from Psych use like over and over and over again. So if you're a Psych fan, it's an Easter egg. If you're not, doesn't matter. It goes just part of the dialogue.
So here we get a little bit of the taste for issue 2. Reporter Albert Harrison, the descendant of Meghan and Prince Harry, is kidnapped by British conspirators who want to kill England's royalty and put their chosen person on the throne. The kidnap results in the California Highway Patrol chase through San Diego when one of the officers, Ryan Earp's colleague, is fatally injured. Earp refuses to wait for backup, anxious not to allow the killers to get away, and he is caught by the terrorist, but Albert is able to force them to spare his life. So that's kind of what we see right here, and that gives you a little bit of what's going on with issue 2. So we see them kind of making their way to London, and yeah, things are getting insane at the Buckingham Palace. How was that designing it in the future? Was that fun?
I didn't have to do anything. I just told Fred Bennis, Buckingham Palace with laser cannons on the roof, and bang, he did an amazing job.
He delivered.
yeah.
And then we see some of the returning faces in action as well.
Yeah, they're not in this as much as in the first one, but they're definitely recurring characters who are going to be back. Plus, they're the stars of the pinups.
And then a look at the creators as well. So since 2002, Michael has been an author and editor of fiction and nonfiction. Prose works include Shalom on the Range, Six Guns, and Sorcerer's Horrors Classic Masters Remastered, and the upcoming Shadow Seal and Golden Years. He's worked in comics with Ron Mars, Daryl Banks, Kevin McGuire, Nitho Diaz, Keith Champagne, Jack Herbert, and more. Pencil and inks are handled by Fred Bennis, the younger brother of esteemed comic artist Ed Bennis. Fred had a long run of inks and covers for Top Cow's Witchblade. He's also done covers for other comic companies, including Variant. So right here is that pinup, speaking of the devil, for just $12. Yeah. That's not a bad price at all.
I have changed this page a number of times because you want to keep it different for for repeat customers who may have not have been interested the first time. Maybe they'll see something different the second time. But I have the color art for this pinup, so I'm going to put that on there, and I'm either going to be printing it as 2 pages that go side by side, or a single page that gets folded in the middle. But the dimensions are going to be 12 by 9 or 12 by 18.
Okay.
So that's a decent sized pinup.
Yeah.
And it's nice, high quality, almost cardboard like paper.
No, and it's gorgeous too. Because you shared the colors on Twitter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. It looks good. And then here's a look at the stretch goals as well. Before we get to the stretch goals, let's go ahead and look through some of the tiers first. So back up Because You Believe in It at $10. For $6, you're going to get the digital edition complete story. So get a PDF version of the book as soon as the project is funded. No need to wait. 48-page story plus 6 pages of bonus material. Always a phenomenal price at $6. At $10, you're going to get the digital catch-up issues 1 and 6. So that's a good price for both. That is issue 1 is 65 and then or 64 and then issue 2 is 56. So that's what 110, 120 pages.
110, yeah.
Yeah, my math is not my strong suit today. So $10 or more, you're gonna get the complete series story. 54-page comic. So issue 2, a complete 48-page plus the 6 pages of extra printed in high quality page. At $18 or more, you're gonna get issue 2 plus the prints and the bookmark. Do you have the bookmark shown on here?
No, I do not. I haven't had that made yet.
So, and then at issue 19, or excuse me, pledge 19, you're gonna get the print version catch up. So get issue 1, 64 pages, as well as issue 2 at 54, in the print editions. $28, you're gonna get both issues plus the prints and the bookmark. At $50, you're gonna get the Strider Nolan sampler. So you want to give us a little bit of the lowdown on this?
You could wind up with a whole bunch of different books. Some of my older stuff that I've written. My first book, Shalom on the Range. I still have a few of those. Six Guns and Sorcerers. I released that last year. I did just release Shadow Seal. So instead of saying upcoming, it's now out. You can get that on Amazon, or for $10, or you can get the Strider Nolan sampler, and it's one of a number of fun things you'll be getting in your box when it comes.
Well, that is cool. That is awesome. I like that sampler idea. So for $100 or more, see yourself in the comic, appear as a character in the upcoming Riot Earp comic. Do you know what issue it's going to be?
I have someone pledged the $200 level. They're going to be in the next issue, which is number 3.
Okay.
So the $100 level is going to be in issue 4, which is probably going to be January or February will come out.
I gotcha.
So they got to wait a little longer to see themselves.
For 160 or more, Fred Bennis draws a figure and all good. So get serious artist Fred Bennis to draw a full figure of your choice, approximately 9x12, and he'll draw anyone you want. Plus you get the printed copies, the PDF, and the newest prints. 160 or more, you'll get Darryl Banks draws a figure. So is that going to be pretty much the same tier? With Darryl?
Yep.
And then at 200 or more, edit your comic or prose project. So Michael Katz has been a professional editor since 2002 and has worked with New York Times best-selling authors like Jonathan Mayberry and Michael A. Smerconish. I was almost there. Holy crap.
Yeah. Who was on CNN.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So give us a little bit of a breakdown for this. What are you going to be offering to do with this tier?
Yeah, I did have 2 backers for it last time around. I can't guarantee that I'm going to publish your book, but if it's that good, I might. But what I'm going to do is help you out with it from soup to nuts. I'm going to edit it for you. It's not just copywriting. I'll tell you what you need to do, or what I think you need to do to improve your story as much as possible. And whether it's a novel or whether it's a series, from comics, I'm flexible, and part of it, like I was saying earlier, part of the business is connections, and it can't hurt to have someone who knows other people in the business.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's no time limit. You don't have to have the book to me by a certain day. And when I get it, I'm not going to just go through it in 1 week and say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to take my time, because, I like to, think of myself as a professional. Yeah. And again, I put out a few things every year, not just for myself, but other people as well. And, if I think, it could catch lightning in a bottle, I'm going to give it a shot.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, I gotcha. So, and then add 200 or more, see yourself in a Riot Earp comic. So be a character in Riot Earp issue 4.
Yeah, that's the next one that's coming out. It's already been snapped up. But we can segue into what's coming next, which is I was hoping to have the continuation of issue 2 out by then.
Mm-hmm.
but I want to have the third book out before the year is over. So I'm going to be releasing the one. It's a flashback, um, and it's written by Ron Mars and drawn by Daryl Banks, and it shows the events leading up to Earp joining the CHP in issue 1. And if you know who Ron and Daryl were the guys that created the Kyle Rayner version of Green Lantern.
Okay.
They're both industry pros, and this is a bit of a reunion for them. I think since Green Lantern they might have worked together on one other.
Oh my God! Hopefully they don't stuff
project.
Another girl in a refrigerator in this.
Yeah. And then there will be a backup short story called Short Story, starring Bill, who is the short guy from number 1, and that is written by me and drawn by Fred Bennis. So that's going to be a nice double feature, I think, and you can look for that to come out. Probably have the Kickstarter in October.
Okay. So since we went through some of the tiers, here's the stretch goals. When we reach our funding goal, we will have an additional behind-the-scenes content for inclusion in the digital and print versions of the book. If we reach $2,000, everyone gets a trading card. If you purchase a digital comic, you'll get a digital card you can print out. And at $3,000, everyone who buys a print copy gets a free bookmark, and digital purchasers get the pinup as a high-resolution wallpaper. And I'm last Kickstarter, I got all those, and I thought they were awesome. Are you looking like with the cards? Are you just focusing on, I guess, like the face cards, or are you going to be doing like different suits?
Oh no, it's just trading cards. Like this.
Oh, okay. I thought they were like poker cards.
No. Believe me, if I thought I'd be doing 52 cards, I'd be doing this for a decade.
Yeah.
No,
right.
It's character trading cards. So Earp was the first one, and the second one is going to be Josie.
Oh, I gotcha. So this is the Kickstarter in its entirety?
Yes.
So while we're here, for anyone that just watched, what would you like to say to anyone that's kind of on the fence about backing to help push them over that bump?
Just do it.
Just do it, baby.
You're getting a great deal. It's high quality. Cody says so himself.
Yeah, I do. I vouch.
Yeah, it's got nothing but good reviews. And $10 for a double-sized book, or $19 for 110 pages. That's a trade.
Yeah.
But comics fans seem to prefer individual floppies to trades. Trades are more for bookstores. And hey, look, down the road, I'm probably going to compile everything into a trade and put it in bookstores and see how it does, and hopefully make some more money on the back end that way as well, and God willing, break even.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just trying to put out the best product I can, and if you see the product, you're going to agree, you're going to like it.
No, I definitely agree too. I think it's gorgeous. I thought it was filled with action. Every page was just dripping with action, and it was just overall just an awesome experience reading. Michael, thank you so much for coming by, breaking this down. It was awesome to get you back on. Holy crap, man. Yeah, this was such a great time, as always. So real quick, before we begin wrapping up, you know the drill. We always love ending on a strong note, because as much as this is a podcast to really demonstrate you and your book, it is a nice learning tool for anyone that's out there watching for the first time. So for anyone that is watching and maybe they're having trouble with getting their Kickstarter started, getting it planned out, what would you say would be some of the most essential things to do when planning out a Kickstarter that they should be trying to do at their first timers?
Well, it may sound counterintuitive, but you want to spend more money to get as good a product out there as possible. And you may lose money your first time around, but the idea is to grow your brand and create a reputation for good quality work, and hope that people will come back every time you do another Kickstarter. So maybe your first time, the book costs you $4,000, but you only get $2,000 on Kickstarter. But maybe the second time you'll pick up some more. People will want to catch up and buy the first book too. And by then you'll have created a little bit of a following and a good support group. If you're a good person, it's so easy to find people to support you and to be friends with you on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all. And they're going to be a bigger help than you could imagine.
They really are. The indie community is just insane. It seems like it's just overfilling with people who want to be there for each other.
Definitely. Yeah, everybody's out there helping each other. It's great.
No, that is so awesome. Well, guys, you heard it here first. Riot Earp issue 2. Be sure to back it. Right here is the link. And if you can't back it, be sure to share it. Word of mouth is 100% free. Sharing it on Facebook and Twitter, even Instagram, helps get the word out there to a different audience that Michael is not able to reach, but you are. So you have that duty, and I enlist you to act upon it. Michael, thank you so much coming on, breaking down. It's always a joy to get you back on here. Anytime you want to get on and break down issue 3, we would love to see you back on, and wish you nothing but great success with this. You're already funded, but hopefully we can see you hit maybe another 1,000 or 2 before you finish strong. Anyone watching, right there is the link. Be sure to check it out. It is a beautiful Sunday night, so I hope you guys enjoy it, but most importantly, keep it geekly. All right, let me go ahead and